in 1961, you were coming to a campus, though it had been desegregated to allow admittance in 1956, so much of it remained segregated. If they lived on campus, then they were living in segregated housing facilities. Very likely, you're the only Black person in that classroom. There were places you could not go, things you could not do. You understood it because that's the life you came from.
During the 60s, for those of us who were barrier breakers, what those struggles did was shifting some of the paradigms in the culture.
1961, Sherryl, Griffin at the time, Maudie Yates, and Leroy Sanders decided to take action. They filed a class action lawsuit calling for the desegregation of all residential facilities on campus. Her father had to be a signatory because she was a minor. And they took on the University of Texas. There was all sorts of pressure on them to drop their lawsuit.
That was a sacrifice, and it was not a comfortable sacrifice.
She decided to stand up and represent others in a hostile environment. She made herself a target for additional hostility.
But then, 1964, you have the President of the United States signing into law the Civil Rights Act.
Lyndon B. Johnson wanted to give the commencement address, and at the time, my mom's suit was visible and present.
Suddenly, the university gave in. Sherryl was the only plaintiff still around, still on campus. My understanding is that Sherryl did get a call to come and meet with the chancellor of the university, Harry Ransom. As the story goes, he actually hands her a copy of a letter, the decree of opening up the facilities and getting rid of discrimination and desegregation at the University of Texas. And from that day forward, no more segregated housing. We've seen the university over the years doing the right thing. With respect to Black students and recruitment, UT has changed.
Things have come full circle. That work was something that she had to do. I think it has changed the trajectory of her life.
My mom was ever present, and school was very, very important to her. She grew up here in Houston, basically what they would have called the projects back then, right? The CUNY homes, all African American. And so this is a generation where the ideal is very clear that if you want to have a good life, we have to get the degrees and the education to support it.
I met her when we were involved in chartering a public service sorority. She has made good use of the training she received at UT. She deposited into the lives of young students as a secondary English teacher. She worked as a journalist in public relations and was invited to the White House.
We were a pretty traditional African American family in the South, and so grew up Baptist. Then in probably late elementary school-ish, she decided she wanted to become more involved with the church, and then eventually became ordained.
This started a career at Memorial Hermann, and then at Texas Children's Hospital. She was so instrumental in the uplifting of families who were seeing their children suffer.
She's such a humble person. What she did at UT, what she's done as a chaplain, it's always been the, what can I do for you?
I think she may not see herself as others see her, as an incredible, special person and deserving person. At the end of the day, she's most deserving. And we are just, as fellow precursors, so proud of her.